Hello and welcome to One Cool Thing, PC Mag's daily show where we show you one cool thing which we are testing out here in the PC Mag Labs. Today we have a first look at the new Google Pixel 3 and the Pixel 3 XL. We will be taking your questions. I'm Sasha Segan, this is Ajay Kumar. We have just gotten our hands on these new Pixels, so we do not have final reviews yet. We are working on them, but we are working through them. We are checking them out. We are taking a good look at them, and we can answer your questions based on our initial impressions and based on what happened at the press event where the Pixels were announced. So just to start off, that is the Pixel 3 XL, right?
This is the XL, as you can tell from the notch, which everyone has strong opinions about.
Okay, so the XL has a notch and the regular one doesn't.
It does not have a notch. So this one's 5.5 inches, and this one is like 6.5, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
So this one does have a notch. They both have the same
6.3, I think.
6.3.
Yeah.
Okay. They both have almost identical specs, which is something we don't normally see when you have a smaller phone and a larger phone. Like normally, there's a compromise there between hand comfort or performance, and in this case, the only differences are with the screen. So this is 1080. This is Quad HD. They're both OLED though.
Okay, so let's talk about the identical specs. What are the basic specs that we are getting in these new Pixels?
So your processor is a Snapdragon 845. They both have 4 gigs of RAM, 64 gigs of storage.
There's also a 128 gig version available for $100 more.
Okay, there's also a 128 version. The Pixel 3 starts at $799, and this one's $100 more at $899, and then the other version will push you up another $100. Both 12 megapixel cameras on the back, exact same software, Android 9. Yeah, you get all of Google's apps.
We got dual 8 megapixel cameras on the front, right?
Yes, dual 8 megapixel cameras on the front.
Dual front-facing speakers, I think, as well.
And it is waterproof and supports wireless charging, and you can see we have Google's Pixel stand here.
Okay, so now these phones are missing two. These phones are missing.
That's why I have the case on it.
Yeah, they're missing two things that a lot of Android fans like, though, right?
Headphone jack. There is none. So yes, you have only USB-C. Google does include a USB-C version of, I don't know if these are called Pixel Buds, but they come in the box and they plug right in.
They're marginally nicer than your standard USB-C headphones.
They are marginally nicer, but yeah, you do not have. Oh, Google Assistant interacts with this. That's interesting.
Hey. Okay.
So I'll set that up later. But so there are like some various audio features that Google is also trying to showcase here. But yeah, there is no headphone jack and no expandable storage.
Okay. And now, carrier-wise, this is being sold by Verizon. It's being sold by Google Fi. It's being sold unlocked. And the spec sheet on Google's website is really messed up, so I had to email back and forth with Google late last night. It is compatible with all 4 of the US carriers. It has T-Mobile's Band 71. It is gigabit LTE, Cat 16, not Cat 18. It has LAA. It has dual band AC Wi-Fi, of course. So it'll
NFC, everything that you'd expect on a top-tier phone.
Yeah, it'll run on whatever your carrier is, but if you want to buy it from a carrier, you can only buy it from Verizon. So what are some of the other? Actually, it looks like we have a question already.
Price-wise, how does it stack up?
Okay, how does it stack up? So you said $799 for the small one, right? So $799 is basically in the range of the Galaxy S9 is about $720, and the iPhone XR is, I believe, $749.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
So a little bit.
So your $799 fits in there. Your $899 is a little below the $999 iPhone XS and the $949-ish Galaxy Note 9, right?
Yeah, and LG exists within that space also.
Right,
so
the 920-ish LG V40.
920 to 980 almost. So
yeah. So the small one is is a little more expensive, but only a little bit than other smaller flagships. The large one is a little less expensive than other larger flagships. So let's talk about the camera features here, because Google's Pixels have really developed a reputation for camera. As you've been starting to take casual shots with it around the labs, figuring things out, what have you seen here?
So I've only taken a few shots, but I want to point out firstly that the labs are miserable in terms of lighting. So the lighting conditions here are terrible, which is why I do a lot of low light shots here. But this is a portrait shot that I just took, and it is possibly one of the crispest shots I've taken in here on any phone that I've tested recently. It actually blew me away with how good it was. So it has taken probably some of the the fastest, most responsive low light shots, and the processing is also really good. I'm noticing it's fast, and then it'll fix like a lot of, like in the viewfinder, you'll see there might be noise, but it's gone by the time it's processed.
And at the launch event, another really cool thing I saw was that, so your two front-facing cameras, one of them is super wide angle. And when you take a picture with it, initially the picture looks severely fisheyed. And then when you look in your gallery, the fisheye has been fixed in post-processing. There's a lot of crazy good post-processing going on with these cameras.
Yeah, like it's impressively good, and the 12 megapixel sensor, I know everyone is trying to stick as many sensors as possible. LG has 3, Samsung has 2, but this single sensor has been fine as far as the shots I've taken in here. I'm going to be taking it outside and doing a full shootout later on against the Note 9 and V40, but so far I'm pretty happy with it.
Have you been able to find the super res zoom function yet? That is a function that they announced where apparently they take a whole bunch of shots and stitch them together and then create a sort of enhanced digital zoom.
I haven't really poked around that much, but I do see a few settings that I'll play with later. Is that a feature that they might be rolling out later? Because I don't see it right away.
No, it seems
on this.
Well, as I said, we'll look into it further. Let's take another question.
How would you compare the Pixel 3 XL and the latest Galaxy Note?
So the Pixel 3 XL and the Galaxy Note 9. Well, let's kick the easy part out of the way first. The Galaxy Note 9 has a pen.
Right.
So if you're going to use a pen, you get a Galaxy Note 9, that's life, la-di-da. The Galaxy Note 9 also has the 2x optical zoom camera on the back. And while the Pixel 3 XL is going to have Super Res Pro digital zoom, I'm having a lot of trouble believing that will be as good as a 2x optical zoom camera.
Right. I mean, that's a physical camera. I think Google's doing it with software, right?
Yeah.
So. Now,
that said, we've been experiencing really, really fast, smooth performance on this Pixel.
Yeah, definitely.
I suspect that the Pixel 3 XL is going to have faster, smoother, more stable performance for longer, given the history of Samsung phones, than the Galaxy Note 9.
That's definitely, from what I've seen so far, just using it, opening apps, launching apps, scrolling web pages even. This has probably the best touch responsiveness of a phone I've used lately, because I've been using the G7, which, as we know, has a heavy UI layer on it. And just the difference between this and that, despite, so this has 4 gigs of RAM, which I think that G7 has that too, but I was using the V40, which has 6. And this still feels faster.
Battery life, we have not completed, once again, first look, haven't completed the test. However, the Pixel 3 XL has a significantly smaller battery than the Note 9 does, and the Note 9 had terrific battery life in our test, 12 plus hours, so the Note 9 probably will come out ahead on battery. Single camera quality, I suspect that the Pixel will nudge ahead from just some of these shots I've been seeing, especially with the front-facing camera.
I think low light is really going to be where we'll have to decide which one's better, but so far I've been extremely impressed with the low light.
Yeah. So to summarize, while we have, once again, have not completed our testing of the Pixel 3 XL, I suspect that if you were focused on smooth UI performance and basic auto shots with the single camera, that's where the Pixel 3 XL is going to excel, so to speak. Any more questions out there?
When can we expect a review for this? When is this coming out?
Next week. So it's on pre-order now. They will be delivered on October 18th. The full review will be up next week. Another question.
Someone who I think isn't as familiar with Android is asking if you can do video calls. What's the equivalent for FaceTime?
Google Duo. So it's already built in.
I wouldn't say that.
No?
Okay, I wouldn't say that because the deal with Android is that Apple is very much about default services. Apple is very much about you use iMessage, you use FaceTime, they're built in. In my experience with Android, Android is about a wide selection of over-the-top services. So Google makes a thing called Google Duo, which is preloaded on this phone that nobody uses. So I don't actually think that's a competitor to FaceTime because nobody uses it. People are making their video calls through WhatsApp. People are making their video calls through Skype. People are making their video calls through a range of other over-the-top options, whatever messenger they use.
Facebook Messenger.
Facebook Messenger, exactly. That's the Android philosophy. It's not about, similarly, like everybody on Apple is doing their group chats through iMessage, but on Android, some people do their group chats through Hangouts. Some of them do it through WhatsApp. Some of them do them through Signal. Some of them do them through Viber. Like it's a much more diverse landscape on Android than Apple, which is very about using the defaults. Let's take another question.
Interesting question. Do either of you plan to get this as your next phone? Or one of?
I was strongly considering it yesterday, but I'm actually leaning towards the smaller Pixel just because, there's no notch, which is not that bad on this, but it's a little bit distracting. But it's the same specs pretty much, aside from the battery and the screen, and it's extremely comfortable to use with like one hand. So this is a little bit bigger, but if you want the screen real estate, then XL is pretty good too. But yeah, I am considering it.
So I also really like the smaller Pixel. I really like the smaller Pixel form factor. As people know, I like smaller phones. One thing to point out is that while this is a 5.5-inch phone and the Pixel 2 was 5 inches, this phone is actually not bigger. It's just that the screen is taller and there are less bezels. So it's a different aspect ratio. The bezels are smaller, so it's not bigger than last year's Pixel. I am definitely considering it. I want to see the OnePlus 6T first. It's coming out in about 3 weeks. I think they announced October 30th for that launch.
Right.
I really like a lot of the stuff OnePlus does, so I'm using a OnePlus 6 right now, and it has really won me over, so I want to see the 6T before making that decision. Hey, have you turned on this was another thing I saw at the launch event, the AR stickers yet? They're ridiculous.
I have not.
Okay.
Let's see.
See if you can fire that up. And this is an example of one of the things that Google was pointing out about these phones are Google wants to direct the conversation around AI. For instance, one of the flagship features of these phones that is not ready yet on our review models is something called Duplex. Duplex is a robot that will pretend to be a human virtual assistant that makes calls to reserve restaurants for you. And there's another thing called Google Call Screening, which will take robocalls and display them as text on your phone. It'll pick them up on your phone and display them as text so you can decide whether to pick them up as a human.
There's
and
a
that's
floating
all
burger.
AI. Now I have a floating burger, apparently.
You have a floating burger on the table.
Do you have Iron
here.
Man? Is Iron Man in there?
Let's see if Iron Man's in here.
So AR stickers are
Iron Man is here.
AR stickers are another
my.
form of AI in that these stickers in these photos are going to respond to you and to the situation around you. Is he in the frame with me?
He's standing on the table in front of you.
Okay, watch this, watch this. I'm going to smile.
He just waved.
See? He's reacting to my facial expressions. Watch this. I'm gonna try to look sad.
He did something.
Yeah, did he like cock his head in concern?
He tried to fire. He tried to fire off his thrusters.
His thrusters. Okay, okay. So yeah, so these stickers are. It's not just about putting the 3D object into the space. It's about putting the 3D object that reacts to the space and to the things around it. Let's take another question.
Okay. When do phone carrier stores usually get them to demo? Do they only get them on the release date?
Yeah. I mean, actually, no. Sometimes they get them on the pre-order date. That's the thing. Sometimes they will have a display out there. It depends on your device. They'll have a display out there that allows you to pre-order. So I haven't been into a Verizon store, but I would check at a Verizon store and see if they have a display. Yeah. Let's take another question.
Did you mention water resistance?
Yeah, it's IP68, so it is water resistant.
It is dunkable.
It is dunkable. Both of them will fall into the toilet.
But I wouldn't do it in this fabric case.
No, this is actually a very nice case. It's extremely grippy, but I feel like this might get ruined in water or whatever else you drop it in.
Another thing they were talking about at the launch event is Google makes custom cases for you.
Oh, yeah.
It's almost like MotoMaker, if you remember MotoMaker.
You can put any picture you want on the case and they'll send it to you.
Yeah, any picture, any design. And the reason I mentioned MotoMaker is that the guy running and this is some old deep cutness in the cell phone industry. The guy running Google's hardware program, who's leading the development of the Pixels, is this guy Rick Osterloh, and he was at Motorola before Google bought it, and he developed the original Moto X, which, in my mind, the 2013 Moto X is one of the top 5 smartphones of the past decade. And the 2013 Moto X, one of its signature features was the fact that you could customize the backplate any way you liked. And so these customizable cases feel like a little bit of that philosophy brought forward into the Google era. Let's take another question.
All right. Are these compatible with Daydream VR?
They should be, yes.
There is like VR settings built in, and you can there's a motion control in the settings menu, so it should work with Daydream.
Yeah, we haven't slapped them into a Daydream set yet, but Google has not updated the Daydream sets and is selling the existing Daydream sets. So yes, I do believe these are compatible with Daydream. That said, Google seems to have really stepped back from Daydream recently. I have not been hearing a lot about new Daydream software. I've not been hearing a lot about new Daydream applications. I feel like that is... Google has a tendency to orphan certain products, you know.
Hangouts, infamously.
Yeah, Hangouts, which is kind of circling the bowl, or Google Plus, we hardly knew you. But Daydream feels like it's on its way to being orphaned. I'm curious about that. Now, when we've popped it into the stand, has it popped into stand mode yet?
Yeah. So
Okay.
There's actually a Pixel Stand app that will it'll prompt you to download it, and
The stand needs to be plugged in.
Yeah, the stand's not plugged in right now.
Okay.
But when the screen is off, you get this, but you also get different notifications. You get your calendar sometimes. You can interact with it in Google Assistant.
Well, it starts functioning essentially as a Google Smart Display.
Right.
Yeah, and it's kind of like, it reminds me of Amazon's Echo Show Dock, which kicks your Amazon tablet into show mode. Any more questions out there? No, we're good? Okay, so we've been through the specs, we've been through the questions, we've been through our first look with the Google Pixel 3 and the Google Pixel 3 XL. We will be continuing to shoot photos with this, benchmark it, test it, run various kinds of things on it, and we will get you a terrific review next week. Thank you all for watching. This has been One Cool Thing with PCMag.com. If you're on Facebook, then please come back at 10 a.m. Eastern tomorrow for another cool thing. If you're on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Remember, we are one take, no editing. No editing. Be kind. And we'll have another cool thing for you every day.